Have you been following the strikes with Amazon in, I believe, New York City? The Teamsters have authorized a strike, which I guess some of their truckers work with Amazon or whatever. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but they're striking on Amazon, and it's getting pretty intense. I think a couple days ago, there was like a guy who stopped his truck and got out to join the picket line, and he got arrested by the police. The police are like breaking up the picket lines and shit, doing what pigs are really meant to do, which is hold down the working class. But yeah, that shit is interesting. I was wondering if you've seen that or if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, the unionized ones in, I can't remember exactly where. There's 2 sites in New York that I know of, and I believe both of them are striking. I guess there's other people striking across the country, which is fantastic. I'm always all for that. Every, worker should be able to stand up for their rights, and Amazon is particularly, they do pay decent for what the barrier for entry is. Like, it's pretty much just anyone can go in and get the job. So you don't need college. You barely need a high school degree. I work with a lot of people that don't speak English. Like, it's really easy to get in, and for that, the pay is decent and the benefits are decent, but the quality of life at work, the conditions, the rate, the being treated like a number, all those horror stories you hear from Amazon are 100% true. I happen to work in a return facility, at least, so I don't have to deal with that. A lot of the crap most people do at fulfillment centers and stuff, because they're trying to get orders out for that 2-day delivery and crap like that. I wouldn't be able to work for Amazon otherwise long term. I mean, the short time I worked at a delivery station was absolute hell. But I think it's awesome that they're making headway with this, and I can see it happening all over. It's like I said, I work in a return center, and usually during the holidays, a few years ago when I first started at Amazon, we got something called peak pay, which is during the holiday season for about 6 weeks, we'd get an extra $2 or $3 an hour, just because we were so much busier. And it was kind of like a Christmas bonus. They also had mandatory overtime during the busiest weeks, and then voluntary overtime available every week. They cut out the peak pay a couple years ago, and now last year they pretty much cut out the mandatory overtime. They said they were going to call it for all 6 weeks, 1 extra day, and then they did it for the first week and decided to call it off because they weren't busy enough to necessitate it. And now but we always had that voluntary extra time, which was fantastic for picking up shifts and getting a little extra holiday money. And now this year's come around, there's no mandatory time, there's no voluntary extra time, and they're actually cutting our hours. Next week for Christmas Eve and Christmas, they gave us both the day off, which is nice having the day off for holidays, of course. But then the holiday pay they gave us to compensate is 8 hours of pay, which we usually work 10.5-hour shifts. But the holiday pay is always like that. It's like an extra bonus, so it's fine. But it's 8 hours of pay for Christmas Day. And then they give us Christmas Eve off, which they normally don't. So we lost 20 hours and got 8 hours of holiday pay. So it's a 12-hour hit, and there's more than that too, because you don't get your shift differential for the night shift and this and that, and it's all specific to my job, but it's emblematic of what's going on in Amazon all over. We have something called the Voice of the Associate Board, which is like just a digital forum. Basically, you can log in on your Amazon app on your phone and post things for the entire warehouse to see, and management and stuff, and you voice concerns and stuff like that, or sometimes you shout out other employees and stuff like that are doing well. It's usually a pretty positive board, but obviously people bring their complaints there, and it's been insane the last couple months. People talking about striking, people talking about Amazon screwing us, not giving us any kind of holiday pay, this and that, cutting our hours, and all the crap Amazon always does, but has intensified each year. I can see more and more warehouses striking. Like I said, I have one of the most easygoing gigs possible in Amazon, and people are really unhappy here, and we're getting screwed. I mean, most companies give you some kind of bonus at the holidays, or at least give you the opportunity to make some overtime or do something like that. And instead, Amazon, one of the richest companies in the world, is cutting our hours and screwing people. So a lot of people are upset. I could definitely see more strikes happening, especially my warehouse is located real close to a DHL warehouse that recently struck and or went on strike. I don't know if struck is the proper term there, but they went on strike and got a bunch of stuff. Went from like $22 an hour to I think 32 or something ridiculous like that for some of the positions in there, and got themselves some good benefits, and everyone seems really happy. And because they're like basically a stone's throw away from us, there's a lot of cross-pollination with the staff. A lot of us know each other and stuff like that. And the more, you know, the Amazon people are hearing about how well that strike worked for DHL, there's more rumblings of it. Obviously, I'm always up for stirring the pot on that stuff. I'm pretty sure I have been blacklisted in my file already because of posts on the VOA board about striking. And I one time posted, when that first unionization happened a year and a half, 2 years ago, I posted the Amazon union website and tried to, you know, rally up some people about that, because it was a real exciting time. I thought more was going to happen, but we'll see what happens here. I think it's pretty fucking crazy that the police were arresting truck drivers for getting out of their truck. It, again, just like how they're going after our man Mangione, it shows who the police are really there to protect. Like you said, they're pigs. They're there to protect the rich. That's about it. Corporations run America, and that's how it is, and it's going to be for a long time until we actually take this power back. St. Luigi had the opening shot. We got to keep it going, man.
That's all interesting about working at Amazon. When I was working at Whole Foods, there were hints of that. It wasn't that bad, but by the time I started working at Whole Foods, they had already been owned by Amazon. So they had made the switch over from being like more of a sort of like not mom and pop, but a smaller business ran chain to being this like massive conglomerate, and they were trying to incorporate all this technology and like Instacart into everything. But the one thing I really remember that really stood out to me, and I was the same way at that job, I was always kind of like rabble rousing, so it's probably good that I got out of there when I did. But one time they had these like daily posters, monthly posters, where every month the poster would change. And it was like this big thing that they put on the wall, and there would be like a drawing on it, and it was like a yay, happy, this is the word of the month, whatever the fuck, right? They probably have the same thing at your job if they're still doing that. But what it was one day was an image of a woman who was supposed to be the customer, like a bougie dressed woman. This was a cartoon, and she's walking into the store. She's like talking on the phone or whatever, and there's literally an employee on his hands and knees rolling out the red carpet, which was what was on the poster, and he was using paper towels because I guess in the poster there was a spill or something. But the imagery is that he is on his hands and knees rolling out the red carpet for the customer. And I was like, wow. And people like graffitied that poster a little bit. It was a little controversial. That one, that pissed me off. And I was like, that's insane. That is the most demoralizing thing I have ever seen at any job ever. The other interesting thing about the Amazon strikes is that Kris Smalls, I just saw today, is apparently trying to launch a labor party. And that's interesting to me because I like Kris Smalls. Kris Smalls is the one who organized the first Amazon labor union. I think they tried to create a broader Amazon union that he was like the chair of. I don't know what the status of that is. To me, Kris Smalls is a little bit of a question mark. I mean, obviously he's a good organizer. He managed to get this massive win against Amazon. But there's something, he seems like he's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know where he's been or what he's been doing. It doesn't seem like he's done that much organizing since that happened. And I don't want to talk shit about him because he's definitely done more than me. He's a more accomplished organizer than I am. And so when I see him, trying to start this party, I'm inclined to support that because a labor party is what America needs. A labor party is what America lacks. And if there's any center that we can find amongst all of us, it's that. It's the center of, we're all fucking laborers. And even though there are a lot of people in the workforce who have various right-wing views. The thing that can unite us all is the idea of organized labor and the fact that we're all fucking going to work every day, despite our like differences, and that's where the organizational power comes from. So I do think that, organizing along those lines is the best hope that we have.
A labor party is exactly what we need. I agree with that 100%. I mean, and when we first started doing these, we talked about a lot of like, well, what's the solution? The Democrats can't do it. Obviously, is it a new third party or a completely reformed party? Labor-focused party would be amazing. As far as Kris Smalls goes, I don't really know too much about the guy. I wasn't really that impressed with the ability to communicate with the Amazon union. When I first started rallying about unions at my old site, I got a little scared for my job because I had a big talking to from the site lead about it, and I reached out to the union because I was like, hey, I may lose my job. I wanted to get ahead of that if I do, and I'm interested in helping my building unionize, and I feel like it is either a great candidate for it or someone you guys wouldn't be interested in at all, but what do you think? Because blah, blah, blah. And I went through a list of stuff about my specific building, but I never even heard back from them. And then I reached out again, like 6 months later, like, hey, I'm just interested in potentially helping my building unit, but never heard back from them again. I understand they're very busy and stuff, but you'd think you could at least get an email back about, we're too busy this time, reach out this or try this, or, I don't know. But whatever the case, I need to look into that dude more. He, like you said, he was successful in doing what is, pretty much the impossible, right? Getting an Amazon to unionize. That's amazing. He was able to pull that off. I guess you could say something had to give. Sooner or later, one of them was going to do it. Maybe he got lucky. I don't know. But like you said, he's better at organizing stuff than me, so I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, something clearly fell apart when it comes to the broader organizing effort in terms of Amazon. And who knows, maybe the actual company itself has something to do with breaking that up. But I don't know. I think that maybe they bit off more than they could chew. And Kris was in kind of a weird position where he was the one who organized this initial union, but he didn't work at Amazon anymore. So maybe that limited his ability to do this union thing, or I don't know. Some people criticized him and said that he was doing a little bit too much, like traveling and hanging with famous people and like ritzy stuff. And yeah, he was probably living it up for a second. I don't ever think that there was like a grifting element to it, but maybe. As of right now, this party effort that he's trying to do, they're not asking for money, they're just asking for emails. So I think it's at least a good start, and I just think we got to do whatever we can to support what there is right now. Even the Green Party. If you like the Green Party, then now is a good time to do whatever you can to help them build up. Donate to them in the places where they're trying to get on the ballot. Donate to Green Party candidates in states where they can win. Like, that's how we build up some dual power here. So if it's a Labor Party, then it's a Labor Party. I'm all for it. Personally, I'm skeptical of the Green Party. I would rather something that is run by union organizers, but maybe Kris Smalls isn't the perfect person for it. But if he's the one launching the effort, then I'm down to help.
Yeah, I'm sure he bit off a little more than he could chew with that, and trying to organize on a national scale to, do a broad outreach of Amazon and stuff, probably nearly impossible. You need a bunch of individual cells working on their individual areas, but, linked together as a network. But I'm sure they can build to that. Taking on Amazon alone is pretty insane. So it is very impressive. And he probably did do a little bit of, living the good life while he was traveling around doing it. But to an extent, he deserves that. He accomplished something major, and as long as there isn't any aspect of grifting, I support him getting a little bit of a reward for it, of course. And yeah, like you said, there doesn't seem to be any. So, good for him. I just hope we see this continue to grow with Amazon, because it can. Amazon has like the most employees out of any country, company in America. I'm sure. I don't have any numbers to back that up. I'm just going to pull that out of my ass. But logistically speaking, I don't see how it isn't true.